Hey there, it's Jordan. I am delighted to be joined by James and Francesca. They are a married couple in Kentucky. And boy, this is quite the story. Quite the story. Uh,
Yes, it is.
fitting into our economic Hunger Games series. So, for those of you that don't know, apparently, if your grass is a little over the limit, apparently that is a crime accountable to potential jail time, which James, you have been threatened with.
Yes,
Start
sir.
with start with what happened. Your grass got a little too tall. Why was your grass? What was the reason you couldn't cut the grass, and what happened next?
Okay. Basically, it started during the pandemic. Uh, I was busy trying to, like everybody else, trying to make a living, and wasn't able to maintain the property in terms of the backyard. And so my wife and my children had to deal with it.
And how many children do you have?
9.
9 in the house, one
Nine
away.
children. Wow.
Well, one away. She has her own business in Florida. She's doing good.
Yeah. But yeah, there are 9 in the house.
And they had broken the lawnmower, and because of all these supply chain issues and like everybody else, shortages, we had to wait for parts, and then we had to wait for other things. And because of all the crunch with the finances and everything, we just tried to make it happen. I even got a manual push mower, which people would think is like insane, but that's the only thing we got. And it was just I was just having them do it, and I would try to do it as much as possible. But I thought there was a pandemic, and I was told that everybody should be sheltering in. We're basically in small community that's called a city, but it's really not a city. So it's basically behind me are fields that grow hay, and there's a stream next to the. It's not even the backyard. I'm on my property is my whole property is about
3 acres.
3 acres. And so the little bits that are towards the frontage of the house is very small, and the backyard is huge. It's not even a backyard; it's a back field. It's actual field, and it's actually two adjacent fields of us. We're just growing hay and certain crops next to us. That is next to a river that overfloods, and that area in the back is basically like a swampy area. You can't really even mow it. I mean, you'd have to wait for the season to dry out, or it have to be a dry spell for even getting machinery back there. So I thought, who's gonna care, man? I mean, it's the back field. I mean, there's like they were like growing wheat and other things or hay that were like over 6 feet tall. So I was like, who's gonna see me? Like
And
so
just
I
to be clear, your wife and child tried to cut the lawn, but the machine broke. So it's not like you were negligent and not trying to keep your property well kept. The lawnmower broke, and then because of the supply shortage, you couldn't get the new parts. And I'm assuming you're not rolling in money to then just go buy a brand new lawnmower.
Yeah, I mean, the weird thing was I originally had bought one, like, this is my first time out in the country, and I'm thinking, oh, hey, I need a big machine. I originally bought, well, John Deere equipment, like a big riding mower, and that thing, for whatever reason, was malfunctioned and wasn't workable. So then I found, because we're kind of like into the green things and being natural and keeping things the way they are natively, and speaking in terms of our surroundings, we said, okay, I found an electric mower. Are you guys willing to? It's one of the ones that has a drive circuit, so you can just walk behind it and it'll kind of drive itself, and you just guide it. And so the kids and everybody said, yeah, that's fine. We could do that too. So I ordered one of those. But the property is very big, and
3 acres.
it's about 3 acres, and so the blades were bad. And so when the blades went bad, I couldn't even get a blade, man. I it was impossible. It was I don't know. I don't want to sound like I'm making excuses. I couldn't get one. There wasn't even available.
Mhm.
And then because of the money issues of everybody trying to hustle for some kind of income, how am I going to hire somebody? I mean, eventually I had friends and neighbors from where it was I found from a different part of the county, and they heard about my plight and they just volunteered to do it. But even then, it wasn't good enough. They had two big one of those, double steering riding mowers, and they mowed the whole thing down right before the inspection time. And even as the inspector said it was okay, they turned around and the lawyer I had dropped me 2 days before, which was supposed to be a trial or a hearing, they said, and they pushed into they converted a hearing into a trial without a lawyer and without representation.
Hold on. I want to move backwards.
Yeah, sure.
Who first complained that your lawn wasn't being kept, and what happened next with the town or the city approaching you?
Well, my wife would probably do better to tell.
Yes, I was the one really interacting with the city and the inspectors. We received notice from the city that the issue of the lawn, so we addressed it. And then they kept insisting on violations like laundry, hanging out laundry. It just became compounded. They just would find anything. Limbs from a storm that fell on the ground. They said, you have limbs in the field, in the backfield, not in the front, in the backfield.
Yeah.
Because the neighbor next to me, she can see it from her backyard. Okay. And then we had chickens, and one day the chickens accidentally went into her flower beds. And so she called the police on the chickens and the ducks. And
Who actually lives across the street from us?
the policeman said,
small it is.
yeah, it's a one policeman town. And he came and said, you need to get your ducks. And that's when we realized the ducks went over there. It's 2 ducks. Okay. So it's really rural, but it's an incorporated city. And yet, we've tried to work with them, but every time we address any of the issues they bring to us, from laundry, our trash receptacles, they said needed to be moved almost 100 feet back from the road. There is no ordinance regarding where you put your garbage receptacles so that you can pull it out. We usually keep it in the driveway, so it's easy to pull out when the trash people come. So it's just been one problem after another that they're really insisting, and then they're basically building everything up into a nuisance. But in Kentucky, the nuisance laws that they have in the ordinance really pertain to public nuisance, meaning there is a concrete public use that's being deprived of the public by whatever nuisance you have, which is not at all the case here. This is all private. The nuisance they're claiming about is always in the back, in the fields. They even made an issue about we were trying to fence the property, and we had fencing equipment in the back. They said the fencing equipment was rubbish, scrap metal. They were trying to bring us in under a scrap metal ordinance. They tried to bring the cars in that are in the driveway because they haven't been driven. We had them in the driveway, and they said, "Oh, are those junk cars? We can bring them in under." We saw this in the conversations, in the emails, in the court files.
Yet they had license plates on them.
Well, there were license plates, but in the back, because we park our cars reverse, so when they drive by, you can't see the.
And can I ask, because all of this sounds like it accumulated to them then threatening you with fines and hitting you with extra fines. Can you kind of talk about what were they charging you for these quote unquote nuisances?
Nuisance.
And I assume, I don't know what either of you do, but I'm assuming you're not, you don't have money growing out of trees in the backyard to pay these fines.
No, the nuisance laws that they're bringing in is basically a nuisance ordinance. They call it a nuisance ordinance. There's a whole list of nuisances that you can fall under, and one of them is weeds, overgrown weeds. Where it's the front and where it pertains to adjacent property, we had always made sure that it was not going there. But in the fields, in the back, and in the valley where it gets wet and flooded, and near the creek, it's difficult to take care of it the way they are proposing, because it's a flood area. And they don't care. They basically said everybody else in town mows their lawn. I said, yes, the lawn is mowed, but the backfield, we're waiting on parts. There's no parts because it's an electric mower. It was more difficult to get the proper blade, and we ended up just
Just
jerry rigging another
a
blade,
wrong
the
blade,
wrong blade, just to get the job done.
just to get it.
But we every time. Our point here is that every time they brought an issue up with us, we addressed it. Okay, from the chickens to the laundry. There's no ordinance for laundry. Everybody else hangs their laundry here because it's the country, and everybody else has chickens. In fact, the neighbors have their chickens running into our yard all the time. I've almost.
Even walking through town,
I
you'll
mean,
see
you see,
roosters.
you'll see
loose
roosters walking on
roosters.
Main Street.
So,
Dogs get loose from neighbors all the time and wander into our property,
because it's big.
because it's big, and they find my chickens, and thank God they haven't gotten one yet. But these are just parts of things that happen here, but they're using the law to really make life difficult for us and try to jail my husband. They've intimated that over and over again.
Oh no, they plain out said it. They even have it on
Yeah.
an email.
That
They-
they're going to jail you over the lawn not being cut and the
That they're-
laundry hanging out.
that they are going to add extra charges.
Yeah, because this is that they took what would have been just a civil complaint, which would have been a fine, or abatement and a fine, or whatever, from $100 to $500. That was the limit. They got me for $5,000, man.
They're fining.
I thought, oh, this must be a joke. I mean, this must be like somebody must have put a wrong zero somewhere and just was
No.
out of their mind or something, or like hung over the night before and put the wrong charge. But then they served it to me as a criminal complaint. I was like, what? Criminal complaint?
And
Basic-
what was the alleged crime?
Nuisance.
Weeds.
This is why it's time to decriminalize overgrown grass and
weeds.
decriminalize weeds.
Weeds.
Just regular weeds. And they can't seem to agree what weeds are. I mean, they
took pictures of everything that they said was a weed. Now I took those pictures and I went to this is an agricultural place, so it's totally excellent that it is an agricultural place. So I went to the website and I looked at University of Kentucky Agricultural Department, what are considered weeds. Now they took the pictures. I looked at each particular evidence that they said was a weed, and it is not even classified as a weed.
They would come here for inspection, city council and the inspector.
Oh, it was what do you call that? Surprise inspections through the neighbor's side, and then they would just trespass on my property. And luckily, my dog was chained or in the house because I got a pretty good big dog, and
well, the neighbor has threatened to shoot the dog. The neighbor has taken videotapes of my children when they go out and play.
oh,
She screams at them and harasses them.
And I don't even know what I don't understand their
one
English
time
because their English is not even it's hillbilly or redneck. I don't know what the heck they were saying. And I was just like, I can't believe this. Why is she screaming at my children?
The children don't want to play outside. There's a trampoline. They don't want to play outside because when they go out to the trampoline, she starts yelling. Okay. And then one time they brought a whole bunch of pillows out and she took pictures of them saying we were, putting rubbish out there. They brought pillows out into the lawn
to play on the trampoline.
Let me ask you, because the obvious question here. I'm assuming there's not a large Asian population in where you live.
Okay.
I'm assuming the lady who lives next to you is white.
Yes.
And I'm assuming they don't, in this part of Kentucky, don't treat white people this way for grass that's too hard, too tall.
No,
not at all.
because the neighbors have it, and the other neighbors have construction debris in the back and in the front because there's one house here right up the corner that's being redone. And well, what we're used to is when you have construction, you get a dumpster, and that's where you put construction debris. But they just have it lying around.
Oh, they can do whatever they want, man.
They pretty much do whatever they
I
want.
can just take a picture of all the driveways right across the street from me, from the cop to the next door neighbors, which are everybody's related.
Everybody's related. The neighbor here
Somehow,
on the right is
everybody's
related to the neighbor
everybody.
on the left.
And the one on the
And when they
front is
talk in
next to
city
this one.
council, you'll hear them talk about, oh well,
What's their last name?
what's their last name? Whose family do they belong? That's
What
all
clan
it
do they
is.
belong to?
They always reference each other by their familial name. So
And this is Nelson County, Kentucky.
yes,
Yeah, this is the heart of bourbon country, man. This is unbelievable. I thought, okay, the funny thing is, there is another Asian family here, but it's not really an Asian family. She's the mayor.
she's Filipino, just like me, just like my husband, and that's one of the reasons we were hopeful about
I was
being
like,
in this
oh,
community.
there's a Filipino mayor. Oh, great. At least
Means
these people
not race.
are open to other cultures. Aha, no.
No, she could have stopped all of this when the complaints came to her, because she has the executive authority to do so.
She's been to our house. She's met my mother.
We've talked about the country when she was in the Philippines, and we have had stories, and we've talked about recipes and things like that.
I would have thought she would just usually write a letter, and we would abate the issue. I mean, fix it, and then it would go away. And then another letter would come, and then we would fix it, and we send her the pictures, and it would go away. But this one, I was just like, what?
They wouldn't
what was
stop.
this?
They wouldn't stop.
It
And
just
you could see that
escalated to like
they were just trying to find something.
anything.
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 Okay, it's evident.
They said that I have trailers in the back. Now, in the country they have trailers everywhere. They put their lawn equipment, they move everything in trailers. The city council lady said, "You can't have trailers in the back of your yard." I said, "How can you even see it from the street? You can't see it from the front of my house." I have 3
and there's
acres.
no ordinance about that.
There's no ordinance about the trailers, because you know what? The chief of police, which is the only cop in town, has his trailer right next to his car.
And other
he could
people,
do
they
it. I
have boat
can't do it.
trailers. They have trailers for hauling agriculture equipment.
and lumber, just anything.
So let me ask you, where do things stand now? You were saying that they're charging you with $5,000, or
Yes.
you might face jail time.
Yes, well, the way it works is that they basically already fined us. So we're paying the fine. Okay. We
Okay.
have a 2-year period to pay it.
And how
But
much
now-
is that fine?
Right now it stands at 2,500 is what they're collecting. The other 2,500 is not being collected yet. It's basically suspended until further notice, which who knows how long that is.
It's
So
gonna
basically
be-
they're going to keep you under where if you don't make the payment, you could go to jail. That's where the criminality in this thing is, because it's not just like, okay, you pay a fine if because of the economic situation you can't pay it, you can defer it, you can make arrangements, you can come up with an agreement. No, the minute you stop paying the fine, you could be arrested. That's where the crux of the matter is. Now, spring just started 2 weeks ago, and they sent another summons. Mind you, it was winter. There is no mowing in winter. I don't understand now. And then there are no charging papers.
we went to the actual.
We went to the court.
Yeah.
To get the files, and
Right after
there wasn't even a file number issued for it. They couldn't find it.
There wasn't even a case
But they
number.
summoned us to court on a case that's non-existent in their own system.
And let me ask you, what do you guys do for a living? Because for most people, $2,500, $5,000, they don't just have that under the pillow. So I assume this is a real hardship for you.
Oh, definitely, yes. Because of the way things are, I'm an all-young engineer and I'm a chef. But now I have to do things through online. I can't go and meet clients in any other ways. And
it's not the same as
it's
before.
not the same before. There's no freedom.
It's the pandemic, so it's expected. So,
but I'm thinking it's the pandemic. They said stay at home. I'm at home. The lawn is not killing anybody. It's not nuisancing her place because it's not even growing into her place. So I'm like, what is this? But from what I heard from my own children and from my wife before, when they first came here, because I wasn't here when we moved in, the lady was actually mowing the back of our yard. that is adjacent to hers. And from what I take from that movement, she was claiming that that was hers. And I said, wait a minute. I bought property before. I was a real estate agent up north, and I said to myself, wait a minute, what's the plot lot number and all that stuff, and let's get the survey. So my wife got the survey, and exactly as I knew, she was trying to basically lay claims on that piece of land.
Okay, when I was
Or
chatting,
do adverse possession, basically. That's
yeah.
what they call it.
So basically, which one of the things that got us a little concerned was because when chatting with the mayor, being a fellow Filipino, one of the things that came up in discussion was her saying, "Oh, you should have bought the house next to mine, not this one, but my house. It was for sale." I said, "Oh yeah, we saw that, but it was just, it wasn't really what we were looking for." And then she says, "Oh yeah, that property, we were able to acquire a part of it before it was sold because we had been mowing the part that was adjacent to our property line. So when the owners sold it, they basically laid a
to settle out.
claim. They had to settle out and give her that parcel that they had been mowing. So that's made me think: is this a claim on? Is this a hostile taking? Is this an adverse possession claim that they're trying to build up? Because surprisingly, the lady on this property that where we're living, and because my mom was supposed to move with us here, so
Yes.
we bought another property a few doors down. We were fortunate that the two properties, apparently they've been on the market for many years,
Many
couldn't
years.
sell, so we were able to acquire both. One was supposed to be for my mom.
Yeah.
We were going to fix it and have her move in. She does not want to move here anymore because of this. No
Wow.
way. Grandma's not going to move here. She's terrified. And I don't blame her.
Yeah.
So, but even on that other property, the lady who lives next to us is doing the same thing.
Which
They're claiming
Yeah.
about 50 feet of the backyard all the way to the creek that abuts against her property, and they started mowing. They've threatened us when we tried to mow our own property.
our own property.
She threatened us.
Let me ask you, just, I assume you have legal fees related to this, and obviously the paying the fines. How are you supposed to afford this as gas is going up, food prices are going up, everything's going up? How are you supposed to afford, potentially $5,000?
It's very difficult.
It's beg and borrow,
Yeah,
like everybody else. I mean, try to,
make
not-
money and then
not
just
eat things that
Yeah.
you usually do, not drink coffee. I
Yeah.
haven't drunk coffee for the last almost 2 years.
It's total. We have a total of 10 children. The eldest lives with grandma
Mhm.
in Florida, and grandma's not moving here, even though she misses all the children. She will never move here. We will have
Yeah.
to make arrangements to visit her, or she would come to visit for a month. But after what we've gone through, I mean, the lady next door called the policeman and was screaming at us. During COVID, she came up to my back
Oh
door,
my God.
banged on the back door, yelling at me, and threatened to have the ducks arrested. What kind of mindset do you have? I tried to make things work with the city council. We've talked to them. We've presented to them our situation, and we told them we're trying to get this done. We're working on it, and we eventually got it a bit. It was just a period in time when things were not normal. We couldn't get the blades that we needed, and because they're electric mowers, they're not
Made to-
readily available
they're
as
they're
they-
lighter.
Yeah,
The blades are lighter, and they're specially designed for these machines. Now I had to jerry rig an old blade, but it's actually wearing and tearing on the mower right now as we're using it. So I have to.
And we got a manual mower, the ones that you see from the 1950s, the one that
Yeah.
has no motor, and we're using that with the electric to maintain a 3-acre property. Okay. But the point that we were really trying to put forth here is the fact that ordinances like this, they are being used to really criminalize people who are marginalized,
And
poor
oppress.
people who are maybe disabled. Maybe you are a disabled person
yeah.
who can't mow your lawn readily. But there's only 2 of us who are Asian here, and we both happen to be Filipino. It's us and the mayor, and the hatred and vitriol that you hear in the city council meetings where they're storming city council by the dozens. It sounds like lynching language, and I was so
Well,
thrilled that they signed that bill today,
oh yeah, definitely.
because that should send a clear message that you can't be going around up in arms with pitchforks over something so trivial. This is not even a public. The laws clearly indicate it has to
Affect the public
affect
use.
the public use.
Unless they're trying to use my backyard for, like, what are they using it for? To look at?
And my final question, they're trying to criminalize this, but do you feel the crime here is actually a hate crime
Yes,
against you two?
yes,
Definitely.
definitely.
Definitely, because
When they make statements like "go back to where you came from,"
oh man, yeah.
when they make statements
man.
like
I thought I was gonna laugh at the same
you're
time.
lowering our property value.
Yeah.
These are known hate crime statements, okay? And we brought this up to the mayor, and she said, "You need to move."
Yeah, leave.
She said, "I'm scared for you. You need to move." This is the solution the mayor has.
The
But
mayor who has the power to stop what they're doing to you.
yes, because all she has to say is this is a civil matter, so take it to civil court, which is what they told me when I was saying that the neighbor was mowing the back part of my property and claiming it as hers. I went to the police.
Yeah.
The policeman here,
The
City
only
Hall,
one here.
the one policeman here.
My neighbor across the street.
I told him, look, she's trespassing. And the mayor said, that's a civil matter. You need to bring it to civil court. That's the power the mayor has. And she has not executed it because of a lynching mindset, a lynching mentality. People say, the city council lady said to me, when I see your children, I don't see color.
Oh man, I said, whoa.
She says, I just look at them as children.
Wow.
And I'm thinking that is a white privilege talk, because you have never had to live with color. You have always had to live in a society where white is right. And if you're not white,
you're not right.
You're not right. And
obviously.
then for her to say that was really, really.
Oh. I mean, I'm trying to make light of it, because internally,
yes, you have to make light of it after a while.
So angered that isn't this like the 21st century?
Yes, yes.
Aren't we in a new age? I mean, I don't know if you're Catholic, but the Pope just what did he do?
He consecrated
Russia and all the bishops in the whole world for world peace. And I said to myself, oh, world peace, yet I can't have peace in my property, which I'm a property owner. And Kentucky's a Commonwealth state, so I have rights as a property owner, and I supposedly have the strongest property rights in the union. And I'm looking at this like, really? I guess if you're not me, you're okay.
So sorry for this ordeal. It's obviously economic, but also, psychological and very upsetting. Can I share your contact with people if there's lawyers or anybody that want to help?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
That's the other problem we've had.
Oh, man.
The lawyer dropped us 2 days before the trial, and we've tried to get lawyers over and over again, and nobody wants to take this case.
The first thing the lawyers say is, I've looked at your paperwork, and I just don't understand. And now that's a legal term. I don't understand to them means I'm not touching this with a 20 million foot pole. Because
over and over
again, they said, why don't you just do what they tell you? And
which is what we've tried to do.
It's like, okay, let me go. I got raped. Let me go to the rapist and ask him to stop. Please. Really.
Because now we're already paying the fine, and now they're starting again.
And they're still at it.
This is a totally new case that they've brought up in court now. This is not even the old case. So now they're trying to bring forth the same kind of complaint again. Are they looking to make another $5,000 judgment? The taxes here aren't even that amount. That's one of the reasons we moved here, is because of the lower taxes. We have we have dreams of our own that we're trying to build for our family. We want it to be in a natural rural environment where
Well,
there was nature and the children could
okay.
play and they could have their dogs.
Basically, we're Catholic, so
Yeah.
the church is 2 blocks away. That's all my mother, when she picked her places, we were always a block or 2 blocks away from the church. Everybody walked and knew each other.
Yeah, the store, you can walk to the
You can walk to
store.
the store.
You
I'm
can
from a
walk to
city
the
before, but
church.
here is city setting. I can walk to the church. I can walk to the store. I can walk to the hardware store. It's excellent. I thought this was. I
And they
thought
had
this
a
was heaven.
Filipina mayor. They
I
had a Filipina mayor, which totally was like,
Oh wow,
you
these
know,
people are
cherry
great.
on top for us. Was like,
Because
how rare is that? And she's been the mayor for 20 years. So we said this
Yeah.
community must
Be
be okay,
open-minded.
be open-minded.
yeah,
They're open to other cultures, and then to the vitriol and the hatred. The children don't like to play outside,
well,
or they try to avoid when
I'll have to tell them like what I used to do in the city. Hey, 2 or more better than 1. Never go out by yourself. Have a dog with you. Walk the opposite side of the street as the traffic. Blah 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 blah. You know all the safety rules, man. If you're from the city, watch your back, look around, don't enter anything before you leave. You look outside the window. I feel like I'm in Harlem, man. And Harlem's safer because I've been in Harlem. I lived in a. It's ridiculous here.
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. It's beautiful out there. It's beautiful right now. It's like sunny and it's a little breezy. It's beautiful out there. The birds are chirping. I have basically like
we have
Central
woodpeckers.
Park.
You know, it's almost
mini
like
Central
you're
Park.
a mini Central Park.
If
And we
you-
were trying to develop it as an urban forest, trying to bring
That
back
prairie
trees.
flowers that had nice, like
Bring back
native-
trees, bring back
native-
fruit trees and nut trees,
Yeah.
and have some kind of a pasture thing back there.
Well,
But-
it was New Haven, so I said, "Oh, it's like New Heaven, right? New Haven, like Connecticut, but not Connecticut." But I said, "Oh, this is great. This is a great starting for us. The children should, have a fun time. I mean, everybody's supposedly Catholic."
The children are very wary when they go out. They're very alert. They keep an eye out if she's going to come out. I mean, they've taken videos of us. I mean, and they've shared those videos amongst the community from what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Because I hear community members, "Oh, I saw that video of you, da 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 da."
Oh yeah, and the thing was, okay, like I'll tell you to everybody on the internet, she actually told the city council when city council was asked to take pictures for the prosecutor, when are they leaving?
Wow.
Are they leaving yet?
Yes.
Have you
this is
gotten
the
rid of
kind-
them? And I'm thinking to myself, whoa, man, what year is it? I'm not even tan. For my race, I'm light skinned, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, did I offend her that badly?
It's really terrible, especially since she's a fellow Filipina. You would think that from even that cultural standpoint, she would be more understanding and be more of a mediator.
Or
For the
just say, look, hey man, the ladies, whatever, and we know that, we know these facts. I'll help you out if you can. Which they did try to do, but it was too late because it already turned into a criminal crime. She had sent her husband to help,
And her son came.
and her son-in-law, grandson, and I was just like, they're gonna lock me up already. Now you're gonna send your what is that? Is that a political move? Are you like putting icing on the cake? Or
This should
what are
have
you trying to
ended
do?
the minute they complained. Just like when I complained that they were mowing my backyard and taking
And trespassing.
and trespassing. She told me to take it to court. That's what she should have done with these people, is say, if you have a problem and you're annoyed with the view because you don't like the view,
Put up a fence.
put up a fence or take it to civil court, because it is a civil matter. And she's escalated it into a criminal misdemeanor, which if you don't pay, my husband will go to jail.
What's the mayor's name?
Tessie Cecil.
Tessie Cecil?
Yeah,
Cecil.
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 Yeah, she's-
You can look
she-
it up on the internet. They have a website
New
for the
Haven.
New Haven, Kentucky.
City of New Haven.
And
I'm like,
the board members are there. They have a whole website for the city, and it explains all their.
yeah, I mean, there's a train museum here and stuff, and I volunteered there, and they said, "Oh, what happened to you, James?" I said, "Well, I gotta tell you because this is what happened." And I told them, and they were like, and they were all white, I don't
I mean,
care.
a $500 fine.
Fine.
Okay, that
$500.
we were willing
okay.
to, just because we thought that was what they
Yeah.
meant, that they were going to fine us. So they basically said, the lawyer basically said, they're gonna go after you, and they want a lot from you, and possibly jail.
And then he said to me,
So plead
"Who is
guilty.
this lady? Who is this lady that you pissed off?"
Yeah, they
I'm
keep
thinking to
asking,
myself,
who did you
"Who did you piss off?" And
who
I'm
did you
thinking,
get? And the mayor even asked the city council member while we were in a meeting about this matter. She says, "Who was the first one who complained?" And then they named the lady, the neighbor,
and then the second
and then
one that
they started
complained,
connecting the names
but then
right in front of me,
and they're
discussing it
and their
as
relatives.
if I wasn't even
The one
there.
that was complaining right next door to me, which I'm facing the camera towards, and the other one that was complaining and saying, "I'm trespassing and I shouldn't mow my part of the backyard, which is mine." They're relatives.
They're related.
And then I found out the guys across the street are related with the cops, and everybody is related. It's like, wow, man. I mean, I didn't know. What would I know? I mean, what should it
We're
matter?
just minding our own business. We're trying to live peaceably here, and we have a right to a peaceable enjoyment of our property.
Okay, my front yard was a regular plain Jane suburban, grass and then hedges. We're not that type of people. We put fig trees, we put flowers. We made it into a garden, basically.
Yeah, we're trying to change a little more of the footprint in the front to be more of a habitat for the native
For nature.
native
I mean,
species that are here, the squirrels, the birds. We have woodpeckers. I mean, they just live
we
right
have
right in front of my
rare
house.
things that my son's been telling. Oh, Dad, this is rare. This is so rare. I gotta, take pictures and
Take
catalog
pictures.
this.
Yeah. I mean, we love the nature part of it. They love the lawn part. They keep insisting it has to be half an inch tall. If it isn't, we're destroying property value. Meanwhile, the properties that we bought were on the market for one was
Well,
on the market for 9 years, and 6 years nobody was buying it.
it's
The
not
other one,
rocket. It's not rocket science. They're trying to run you out of town.
yes.
Uh,
Yeah, I don't
so-
want to be too obvious, but
yeah,
yes.
yeah, they're trying to run you out of town. It's bigoted. Well, I'm going to put your contact under this video so people could reach out to you, lawyers or anything else.
Yes,
And
please.
I have a feeling our viewers might be calling the mayor. I think they're going to be calling the city about this because it's pretty outrageous. During tough, even though the president's pretending this is a historic economic recovery, I don't know who it's
Not
historic for.
Not
Most
for
people-
regular Americans, yeah.
Right. So thank you so much for taking the time, and I'll stay in touch with you.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you so
Jordan.
much, Jordan.
Thanks for watching, and make sure to tune in to Status Coup's daily live stream Monday through Thursday at 5 o'clock Eastern Time and Fridays at 4 o'clock Eastern Time.